Neil Ross here, and it's time to get altered and get geeky on Altered Geek with Steve Megatron.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me this week is...
JFG and Mike.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
So on the docket today, we have a multitude of topics, from Detective Pikachu to the Chicago tax of entertainment, reboot revivals, and then Funko Pops.
Yes, the amusement tax. Oh, God.
Yay, Chicago. Boo.
Yeah.
It's because they got C2E2.
I still think that thing should have changed its name each year. C3E3, C4E4, but whatever. Anyway.
There's so many different ones going around.
Yeah, and... You know, there was that article earlier this year or late last year where San Diego's like, no, this is law. We are the only Comic-Con. You can't call yourself Comic-Con anymore. I'm like, oh, God, give it a rest.
They're evil.
Yeah.
So, Detective Pikachu.
Oh, my God.
I watched the trailer for this. I expected to hate it. I surprisingly don't.
The one thing I've said about this is that I feel like it's going to be not the movie itself, but the promotion, the hype, the whatever around it. I feel like it's going to be the same thing as what the Happy Time Murders was, which was the puppets thing, the Muppets Go Evil movie kind of thing with Melissa McCarthy, and it was, amazing, hype, trailer, came out. I wanted to see it. My wife Karen and I got too damn busy, and we completely forgot and lost interest. And, I haven't heard anything about it since it got released to theaters. I don't know what it did in the box office. I don't care.
It bombed.
But I'm sure, because most things Melissa McCarthy does bomb. With this, it's Deadpool voicing Pikachu. It's Ryan Reynolds voicing Pikachu.
At least he's graduated from Green Lantern for or Van Wilder. He's now Deadpool.
Yeah, and that's cool. I like the first Deadpool. I haven't seen the second one yet. I will eventually.
It's pretty
good. Yeah, I will. I'll see it eventually. I have not seen it yet. But the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, it's Deadpool as a Pokemon, and we knew eventually at some point a live-action Pokemon movie was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be in the form of Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu, but okay, sure, fine, whatever.
What I equate this to is like Wreck-It Ralph meets Deadpool.
Hey, watch your
I say
tongue.
I say that lovingly because because the way that they're incorporating the different Pokemon into this world, it almost reminds me of the cyberspace and all the different buildings and everything else with all the different characters. So it's very well done and very mixed up in that sense. So they've got on their poster, it's got Detective Pikachu and he's walking through, and there's Jigglypuff Records, J-Puff Records.
Yep.
And then they've got Mr. Mime, One Night Only, and then the Pokemart and some of the other stuff. So I mean, it's just they're having fun with it. There's Pokemon Snap, and then Moo Moo Milk, and some other weird things that are on there. But when they had him show up and they were fuzzy and more quasi CGI with the real feel of Monsters Inc. in a sense.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's a different aesthetic, but I'm not hating it. And then they had him, the only person that can hear him speak, which makes a lot of sense when you're watching the cartoon now, is the one that the trainer, because the Pokemon supposedly chooses the trainer, and then they can kind of they form this bond and can hear each other. And whereas anybody else just hears their Pokemon sound, which was really funny because when Ryan Reynolds is talking, it's very sarcastic, and put down the stapler or I will shock you. And he's like acting it out, and he's like, you can talk? You can hear me? And then when the lady does the whole thing of oh, isn't he cute? And, you know, can you hear him? Pika Pika. Yeah, Pika Pika. Yeah, he can't hear me. So I mean, yeah, it was just really funny, and I think that this movie will go over really well.
Yeah, I think it will too, but I also think that certain Pokemon fans might be up in arms about it, because the Poke fandom is very fickle, shall we say, when it comes to certain things.
But aren't every one of the franchises? I mean, you look at Transformers,
true.
you look at He-Man, you look at you know, just because people had the outrage with She-Ra, and then the Thundercats go, and then you know, so I mean, like, every franchise gets that way. I mean, Star Trek and Star Wars are like the big two right now that are having that throwdown. But
Again, really?
it's always going on. Well, Star Trek is constantly greenlighting new shows right now, and adding seasons to things that haven't even aired yet. Like, they're like, oh, we're greenlit for a second season. Hey, guess what? The first season hasn't even been started yet. So, like, it's just a title right now with a premise and a log line. So, like, it's I don't know, like, I feel like this will go over much better than some of those other things, as long as they do it right. And I feel like the trailer slam dunked it.
Yeah, it did. It was one of the cooler trailers. Am I still going to go see the movie in theaters? No, probably not. But I didn't, like, come out of watching the trailer and say, oh, that's going to suck or whatever. I just said, oh, hey, look, it's Deadpool as Pikachu. That's all I said.
And I think that that'll be part of the drive and the pull for the movie.
Yeah.
For it being live action is because it's Ryan Reynolds, and because everybody has this, like, love of him now because of the character of Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you know, I'm with you. I actually don't even see movies in theater anymore, just because I don't have time. It's more of a time issue than anything else, and because I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'll wait till it hits some streaming service and then watch it that way.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, my wife and I have been married for about almost a year at this point. Our anniversary is December 6th.
Yay!
Yay. And we've been together for a year as of August 6th. So in a year's time, between the time we got together and now, we've seen 2 movies in theaters, which was Incredibles 2 and the one night only showing of Transformers the movie. Like, when I see trailers for stuff, oh yeah, cool, sure, I can wait until it hits streaming. The only one I wanted to see in the theater that we didn't get to see was the Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary. I wanted to see that in the theater, but we just didn't have the time, or we didn't, whatever.
I'm really interested to see that, and I'm really interested to see the Tom Hanks version.
I'm not.
I am, only because he's going to be playing Mr. Rogers, and they made him look like surprisingly like Mr. Rogers.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm fine with the actual documentary, like I said, Won't You Be My Neighbor, but the Tom Hanks fictional version of it, I just can't get behind. I can't get behind Forrest Gump being Mr. Rogers.
See, you can't put away the fact that there's a different face sitting there pretending to be the person that's there.
Yeah.
I can get past that. It's just as long as it's the right person doing it. Now, for instance, if somebody else tried to play like Tony Stark at this point, I would be like, no, you're nuts. It's like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. There's no better. That's the one thing I got to give Marvel. They don't have to play character select on actors every few years of a new rendition of their characters, because they choose them right the first time.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas DC's like, I don't know what we're doing this week. I think we'll change it every year.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, like, okay, yeah, I agree with what you're saying about the Marvel characters and the actors playing them, but there are certain ones that they're gonna be like, oh well, I'm kind of done. I want to move on. Case in point,
Rhodey?
No, Chris Evans as Cap. Now, the only thing is, I don't know if they'll recast Steve Rogers' Cap, but they could just use, like, Sam Wilson, have him as Cap, or there have been plenty of other versions of Captain America besides Steve Rogers, even though he is the main kind of, like, look, they could have recast not that they would have, because hello, Samuel L. Jackson, but they could have recast Nick Fury several different times, and they haven't, kind of a thing. And Robert Downey Jr. is so engrossed and in with the fandom and in with supporting his, like, he wasn't going to do a couple of these movies until his co-stars got the same amount of money as he did, kind of a thing. Like, he's all in supporting this as Iron Man. Now, is there going to be a time where he might say, oh, I want to step away, or who knows if that's going to happen or not? But that's what I love about the Marvel universe in the films, is that everybody seems to all be on the same page. You don't have diva temper tantrum kind of things. You don't have any of that stuff. And I've said this for almost 10 years that I've been podcasting. Marvel is amazing at the films, and DC does animation well. Like, DC's films, especially the last couple of years, the Batman project that's supposed to be coming out by Matt Reeves.
I don't even care anymore.
It's not that I don't even care anymore. I don't even, like...
There's nothing there.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to it. And now they're saying that supposedly Batfleck is going to show up, not on the CW, not on Gotham. He's going to show up somewhere. That's where it is. That's the news story I saw. Suit. Yeah, he's going to show up on the DC Universe app, Titans series. You can go off Batman for all we care, because that's what they said in the trailer was F Batman. So, I don't know. And what I saw of Ben Affleck as Batman, I feel was a piss poor movie. It just was. I would have rather. I don't want to see the Batman origin again, but I would rather have seen a solo Batman film to actually get the feel for Ben Affleck as Batman.
Well, I want to see basically the writing that we got in the Arkham games.
Exactly, yeah.
Which means they need to hire Paul Dini to write it.
Exactly.
And then have Ben Affleck playing Batman. And then boom, we're good. Because he does kind of look like Kevin Conroy's Batman on the animated series.
Yeah.
In a multitude of ways, and then he has the Dark Knight Returns kind of bat suit.
Yeah.
So, which I was really good with, just because, I mean, it was kind of a tie between that and the New 52, which I felt was a nice mesh that they had going in BVS, and then they kind of like foobarred it and went back to the Jet Black crap in Justice League.
Yeah.
So
see, I haven't even seen Justice League yet. Like, the only Batfleck movie I've seen is the BS that is BVS. I have not seen Justice League, and it's not that I don't. It is that I don't want to, but it isn't really. It's more so out of sight, out of mind. Like, this podcast was built on the 2012 Comic-Con news of Batman versus Superman, Ben Affleck versus Henry Cavill. That was the first news story you guys talked about. And after all this time, it's like, at this point, I just don't give a rip anymore.
Nope. But, yeah, so moving on to something else that equally sucks. We have the Chicago tax.
Yes.
The amusement tax that is 9%.
Yeah. So I, met my wife online. Like, people are like, oh, how'd you guys meet? My answer is will always be, online. How does anybody meet these days, kind of a thing? Because I'm not a bar scene guy. I'm not a church guy. I'm not doing any of that crap. I prefer to stay away from people in general, and I just prefer to be at home, kind of a thing. So how else am I going to meet people? The internet, of course, kind of a thing. And so I had zero problems moving from Kentucky to Illinois, because I've been in love with Chicago since I was a senior in high school. If I had a higher score on my ACT, I would have gotten into the University of Chicago back in 1999. So, and it also goes back to Knight Rider because the season 4 premiere of the series, the original 80s series, the 2-hour premiere took place in Chicago. So, you put Michael Knight and Kit in any city, I'm probably going to fall in love with that city. And it just so happened to be Chicago. But the taxes here are crazy. They have a 9% amusement tax, as you said. It's currently on Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, Pandora, and a few other things.
You want to know what's funny about it, though? They're basically saying that they're taxing fun.
Yeah.
Because the second area, code section 4-156-010, states that amusement means 1. Any exhibition, performance, presentation, or show for entertainment purposes, including but not limited to theatrical, dramatic, musical, or spectacular performance, promotional show, motion pictures show, flower, poultry, or animal show, animal act, circus, rodeo, athletic contest, sport, game, or similar exhibitions such as boxing, wrestling, skating, dancing, swimming, racing, or riding on animals or vehicles, baseball, basketball, softball, football, tennis, golf, hockey, track and field, games, bowling, or billiard, or pool tables. And then 2, I just want to read it because it sounds funny. It's almost like one of those like medical infomercials on a drug. So it's just really fun to do right now. Any entertainment or recreational activity offered for public participation or on a membership or other basis, including but not limited to carnivals, amusement park rides and games, bowling, billiards, pool games, dancing, tennis, racquetball, swimming, weightlifting, bodybuilding, or similar activities, or any paid television programming, whether transmitted by wire, cable, fiber optics, laser, microwave, radio, satellite, or similar means. It's crap.
Yeah, it is so much crap. And okay, so the reason why we're even bringing this up, there was a story that broke on various outlets, but I'm reading it from the CBS 2 Chicago website. Upcoming video game tax has gamers seeing red. So the new tax, this 9% amusement tax, is the result of an agreement between Sony and the city of Chicago, and it has some gamers seeing red. Some gamers on Thursday night were just getting a word that their gaming hobby was about to get more expensive. Quote, "You are just playing in the comfort of your living room playing PlayStation. Why do you have to be taxed on it? It makes no sense," said PlayStation gamer David Kim. "Why should I have to pay extra if I didn't have to pay before, and why do I have to pay now?" Okay, so here's the thing with this, in my opinion, and others can sound off in the comments and whatever. Hopefully Mike Booth Ninja Powers will write a comment or mention it on social media, or we can bring it up again next time when he's here. This may happen throughout the country. I don't know. So far, Sony has only done it here in Chicago. You spend, let's say, regular MSRP anywhere from $400 to $700 on a PS4. And the reason why I say $400 to $700 is because they have, various versions. They have the regular version, they have the base version, they have the this version, they have the that version, they have the Super Spider-Man PS4 version kind of a thing. And I know Black Friday's coming up because Thanksgiving is coming up and all that. And I believe Walmart and Target are going to have the PS4 Spider-Man bundle for like $199 on Black Friday. I don't know, whatever. It's just what I read online. So you're spending all of this money to buy this game system. You pay your internet company, whatever it is, Comcast, Spectrum, DirecTV, AT&T, whoever your internet service provider is. You pay them to be online. And you just want to sit in the comfort of your own home and interact with your other friends on a gaming console playing Spider-Man or Call of Duty or whatever it is. Why should you have to sit there and pay more tax on something you've already bought?
No, I agree. It's frustrating because this isn't the only city that's got it, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's many cities have this amusement tax, including cities in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Tennessee, Florida, and Wisconsin.
Oh, well, Wisconsin I don't doubt because it's right next to Illinois.
Cheese. But yeah, it's such garbage though, because they're just trying to find a way to like squeeze extra money out of people.
Well, yeah.
And then not to mention the fact that gamers are being attacked with microtransactions left and right now.
Don't even get me started. Like, it's not even the actual PlayStation game stuff, but even the mobile game stuff. Like, my wife plays Words with Friends, one of the Facebook games. Mm-hmm. She's been playing it for years. At one point, they allowed her to buy it to have ad-free. And so she'd been grandfathered in when Words with Friends 2 came along. Well, I go and try to download Words with Friends 2, and I get bombarded with ads after every word I play. Like, she'll play a word, I'll play a word. As soon as my word is done, I get hit with an ad. And lately, it's been popping up, pay $10 to have ad-free for the next 30 days. No, I'll pay $10 to have a full version of the game with no ads. Thank you very much for the rest of my natural born life as long as I own my smartphone. I'm not paying $10 a month for ad-free Words with Friends. That's ridiculous.
See, that's where I'm just like, I'm out. And then I quit doing stuff, like, because I refuse to pay extra for a lot of things. And you're going to see a lot of people just over this, little nickel and dime and stuff.
Yep.
Start pirating again.
Oh, absolutely. Pirating is going to come back in a heartbeat because of all of this.
And yeah, you can shut down places like Pirate Bay and things like that, but there's always
still pop up.
And Pirate Bay still pops up.
Yep.
They switch their ISPs constantly, and so it's, I'm not saying it's right, but I don't think that the government should be coming in and telling people how to do things like this, especially when in the 90s, there was a federal law, the Internet Tax Freedom Act, which was signed by Clinton in 98, that prevents state and local government from taxing internet access or imposing multiple or discriminatory taxes on electronic commerce. And now some of the courts are using this as their main argument that the tax is illegal and must be lifted. Some of the counties that are fighting it now. So I think it should be lifted. I think it's crap.
Yeah, I mean, this is just as bad, but this reminds me of the soda tax kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Soda tax here in Chicago was 10.25%.
See, we don't even have it here. We have 10% on like marijuana, which is understandable, but because it just passed in Michigan. But but like to do that on like entertainment.
Yeah, like, really? Seriously?
It's like, yeah, thanks for taking extra money from me having fun and actually living life.
Yeah, really. Like, I just now realized because of this article, and I kind of realized it before, it must be taxed, but I realized that when I turned my Hulu on, when I, got the monthly subscription transferred from Kentucky to here, I was paying $11.99, no tax in Kentucky. There was no tax on it at all. It was $11.99 straight for the plan that I have, the basic, plan that allows you no ads. Here in Chicago, it's $13.06 after tax. I'm like, seriously? $2.50 or whatever it is to have entertainment? Like, really? And because I'm on Hulu all the time and I watch the shows the next day and things like that, whatever, it's $2, it's whatever it is, but still, it's crazy because like you said, you're taxing us from having fun, and yet half of the news is this person shot this person's home got broken into. It's all depressing crap. So like, we have to find some sort of escape. What I think is crap is yes, the government part of it, but also the fact that Sony made this deal with the city of Chicago. Like, companies are going to make a deal like this, really? After you've paid, like I said, between $400 and $700 for a PS4, really? The company's going to then want to make a deal with the city that you live in to tax you? And it's only for people who have the city of Chicago billing addresses. It's nuts. It's just so nuts, and it drives me crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I think it's ridiculous.
It is like, uh, there's that old scene in a movie that'll be about 20 years old next year. 10 Things I Hate About You, where Heath Ledger says to Andrew Keegan's character Joey, he says, "Okay, well, let's think about this. Going to the movies, the tickets are probably going to be 15, 20 bucks." And then she's going to want Raisinets and popcorn and a drink and whatever. That's going to be 53 bucks. So we're looking at about 75 bucks, Fabio. Take 50, take 50 and like it trailer park kind of a thing. Basically, the whole movie theaters are expensive thing. And that's really what this feels like. God, taxing entertainment is just wrong. Like, I get it. A normal sales tax, like Kentucky's, I believe, is the sales tax is like 6%. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. Like, so an item that is 99 cents is either $1.05 or $1.06. Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But an additional tax, like we're saying, an amusement tax on top of sales tax, that's a little much.
So
it's crazy.
I think now that we've destroyed that soapbox, we can move to the other soapbox.
Oh no.
TV reboots and revivals. Or continuations in film form, that is.
Yes.
So, kind of going in that rodeo, we have, for instance, one that probably doesn't need to be made, Toy Story 4.
Okay, so I saw the teaser trailer that they put out.
Which one? Both? There's two.
No, I only saw the one with the fake toy, the toy that's not a toy, that's not supposed to be there.
Okay, I saw the other one too, where it had Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele.
No, I did not see that.
Key and Peele from so they're playing stuffed animals, making fun of Buzz Lightyear's slogan.
No, I did not see that. I saw what I assume is the official first teaser of all the toys holding hands and whatever in the sky, and there's this happy music and all this and all that, and then there's this like spoon-looking character. I'm not even a toy. I'm not supposed to be here, kind of thing. I'm thoroughly not excited. I love the Toy Story franchise. I absolutely do. I think the third movie was an amazing movie, and I think the third movie was a great ending point for the franchise. I have no idea what the fourth movie is going to be. I'll hold out my judgment until then, but just seeing the teaser, I'm not excited for it at all. I'm just not.
I gotta say I'm in the same boat. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, and that's fine. I'm not making a judgment on the movie. I'm just saying I'm not excited about the news that there's going to be a fourth Toy Story. I'm perfectly fine with them doing like little mini shorts like Toy Story of Terror or like the beach thing that they did or like Hawaiian Vacation or whatever that was. Kind of like the little shorts things. That's fine, but another film I just feel is not needed. And until I see an actual full-on trailer, I have zero interest.
Yeah.
I just have zero interest in that.
So among other things that have been rebooted / continued, Fuller House, again, canceled after its 4th season is over.
I only watched the first season, and I actually skipped through like the last 3 episodes. Like I skipped through each episode of the last 3 episodes of the first season. I could not take it. After all the good jokes were done in the beginning of the season, after all the have mercies you could absolutely want and need out of a show like this, a new show, I just couldn't handle half of Fuller House, and I have not watched season 2, 3, or 4. I don't know if I ever will.
It's better, but it's attempting to tie up like old loose ends from the original show, and then they end up in the 3rd season incorporating more of the original cast with season 4, where the original cast will be completely in the show.
I might watch that since it's the original cast.
The original cast kind of comes back in full force. Like, they'll be on, like, basically they move back home, back to San Francisco in season 4. Season 3, they're all kind of in the show sporadically, a lot more than what they would have been.
The biggest question I have is Michelle going to show up, or are they just going to make constant jokes about her not showing up?
You know what they should just do? Get their younger sister, who's Scarlet Witch, to show up.
Yep.
Just have her be Michelle now.
Yep.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch. Oh.
You look so different now. You changed way too much, Michelle. You're not our sister.
You grew up. Hey, which twin are you? Oh, wait.
You're the triplet.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... I don't think that they'll have her in the show, but if they do, I would be very surprised.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's Kelsey Grammer wanting to bring back Frasier, which I don't know if you've even watched the original.
Oh, yes, I did. Absolutely.
What was the premise of it? Just because I haven't had time to look that up.
So... history lesson, folks, and no, I'm not Optimus Solo, but still history lesson here. Growing up in Massachusetts, and it's not just because it's a Massachusetts thing, but it kind of is, Cheers, which was where Kelsey Grammer's character Frasier first started. Cheers was based in Boston. It was about Sam Malone, who played for the Red Sox, yada, 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 yada. They introduced Kelsey Grammer's character. They introduced his wife Lilith's character and all that and everything else. At the end of Cheers, he gets a radio gig out in Seattle, and he moves out there to do that and to take care of his elderly father. So it ends up being him, his father, played by the late, great John Mahoney, and Niles, his brother, who is played by David Hyde Pierce. And it's basically their adventures in Seattle with him doing his radio show and all of that kind of a thing. I believe it's on either Netflix or Hulu still. Check out a couple episodes of the first season. You might find it funny. I've
seen it. It's been a while, and
okay.
I couldn't remember what the exact premise of the show was.
Yeah. Check it out again. Like, you don't have to watch all 11 seasons or anything like that. You don't have to pull a me or anything like that. But, like, I'd say check out the first, 2 or 3 episodes. They're really funny. I absolutely love them. I can go back and watch that show pretty much any time I want because it's basically, it's just really, really funny, and it's cool characters. And it's not Frasier dealing with the Cheers characters anymore. It's with his own kind of, separate, placeholder people kind of thing. I don't mean placeholder, but that's what I said. Frasier coming back, I don't know. Remember when William Shatner did, it's very short-lived. It was based on the Twitter feed, and I'm gonna say this, and I want you to leave it in.
Oh, I'm not gonna edit it.
Remember when he did Shit My Dad Says? Because it was based on that Twitter feed kind of thing. It was a very short,
over a ton of bricks.
Right. It was a very short-lived show, kind of a thing where he would say the raunchiest kind of things and whatever else. Well, they brought back Murphy Brown, and I liked Murphy Brown in the beginning. I remember all the characters. I remember the newsroom. I remember this. I remember that. I remember how creepy certain characters were and everything else. Well, they brought her back, and the first couple episodes is basically her versus Trump. And I don't want revivals or reboots or whatever to be, in my personal opinion, the whole point of television entertainment is to get out of reality. And while yes, it is funny that not only does Trump make fun of himself, but people make fun of him as well, I don't need that in my television. And Karen and I are still watching it still, but I don't know if I'll watch it past the first season kind of a thing. So bringing Frasier back has me hesitating because I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't know how they're going to handle it. I don't know what the content's going to be or anything like that. If he's just going to do the same thing he did in the original show, if they're going to continue that or what, I'm not sure. So I'm just hesitant with it at best. I don't dislike or like the idea either way.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on revivals, on the regard of how political they get, and it's more so just because we get enough of that drama on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah. I don't really want to see it in my shows either, and I get it. Some of that stuff's gonna bleed over anyway, and it always has in television in the last 60 years.
Yeah.
But it's written in such a way it's not like a direct punch against what's going on or actual people. It's written in a way that it's fictitious, and it's making fun of a possible part of the climate over a certain period of time, but it's not necessarily it's kind of an overarching fantasized version of whatever's going on.
Yeah, and
I think that's where it lends itself better and not getting caught up in actually attacking a specific person or administration.
Well, yeah, certain shows do that, and then there's Murphy Brown. She actively attacks the administration in the fictional show.
So I guess that's all right, because I like Last Man Standing, so I mean, I guess I get the other side of the spectrum there, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuing on with reboots and remakes and things like that, I have to say, I listened to almost all of part 2 with you and DJ, but I did listen to all of part 1 for AG, and DJ Valentine from Simplistic Reviews is under this impression that the Lethal Weapon television show is a continuation or more from what the 4 Lethal Weapon movies did. It's not. I know he knows this. I know he'll say, oh, they're just using the character names. They're just doing this. It's not the real Riggs. It's not the real this. When I had reservations when Lethal Weapon was first announced. I thought it was continuation. I wasn't sure, whatever. The 4 movies are the 4 movies. They are what they are. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover's characters are what they are. This is, and I get what DJ's saying too about, oh, you just taking the character names and trying to reel people in with that. What I felt over the first 2 seasons of Lethal Weapon between Riggs and Murtaugh, Damon Wayans' character as Murtaugh and Clayne Crawford's character as Riggs, they took those characters and made them slightly different. At the same time, the show also pulled stunts or pulled homages to the movies. There was one episode in season 1 where they dove off a hotel balcony and ended up in the pool. Well, that's kind of what happened in the second Lethal Weapon movie at one point with Joe Pesci, kind of a thing. The characters are different. It's a different story. It's a different feel. It's a different background kind of a thing. Now, obviously, Clayne Crawford was supposedly a nightmare to work with, and he ended up doing unsafe things on the set, and he ended up getting fired. So they left season 2 with a cliffhanger of him getting shot by his half-brother. I'll say this for season 2. I love the story that they did in season 2 with getting answers with his father and his past and all that and everything else. Season 3, we weren't even sure if we were going to get a season 3. We weren't even sure if the show was going to be picked up again. But it was announced that Stifler was going to be playing a new character. Sean William Scott plays Wesley Cole. Now, for those of you who have seen the 4 Lethal Weapon films, you'll know that Lorna Cole, played by Renee Russo, was Riggs' love interest in the movie. Well, this character, Wesley Cole, has, so far to this point, no relation, no connection other than just referencing the Cole name. That's really the only thing. He's his own character. He has his own things going on. He has his own past, obviously. And what I love about this season of Lethal Weapon so far is that it is so vastly different from when Clayne Crawford was Riggs. And they didn't sit there and recast Riggs. They let Riggs die off. And they brought in this new character, this new dynamic. And it's so fun to me because not only do you have Roger being challenged again with a new partner, you have all these other side stories and things like that with Cole. His ex-wife, what's her name? Oh God, I know what the actress's name is, but Natalie, yeah.
Yep.
She's played by Maggie Lawson. Well, I don't know Maggie Lawson personally. I grew up watching a young Maggie Lawson on WDRB Fox 41 in Louisville, Kentucky. She is a Louisville, Kentucky girl. So anytime she shows up in anything, I'm like, ooh, hey, it's Maggie Lawson. I kind of know her, even though I really don't. But I know of her because I saw her on, kids news television programming back in the 90s kind of a thing. So I love that she's there. I think that's cool. And I'm really digging the third season. I think it's super fun. I think it's super different. I don't know where it's going to be going. And that's a good thing. If you can't sit there and predict where a television season is going, then it must be good.
Yeah. And I mean, while I agree with them, it's not Lethal Weapon. It's a different version of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no different than how many times they've changed Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just a variety of other different series that have come out over the years. So, yeah. I mean, it's just a different iteration. No different than how they constantly change Star Trek, and especially that their animated series is called Star Trek Lower Decks. Not Dicks, Decks.
God.
And it has to do with the people that are on those lower decks, and it's animated. It's CBS All Access first animated series. And it will be produced by CBS Animation Productions, Secret Hideout, and Roddenberry Entertainment. And it's going to be written and developed by Mike McMahon of Rick and Morty.
Please stop talking like Daffy Duck. Thank you. I did that on purpose.
But anyways,
yes, I know you did.
So anyways, yeah. I mean, so basically, this is how he won the role. It says, Mike won our hearts with his first sentence, I want to do a show about the people who put the yellow cartridge in the food replicator so a banana can come out at the other end.
Oh, no.
And they said, he's funny and knows every inch of every Trek episode, and he likes to write. So basically, I think we're going to end up with like a Thundercats Go version of Star Trek here. And it's going to be a half-hour animated show. Yeah, and the guy promised at the very end not to add a reveal the whole thing took place in a training program.
Oh, God.
Because in Enterprise, the last episode, Riker it took place during the episode of the Pegasus on TNG. So they had Marina Sirtis and Jonathan Frakes playing Riker and Troy on the holodeck, and him reliving... and they're wearing like their TNG uniforms. Mind you, this is like after they'd done Nemesis at this point, so they had to like retro age them here at this point to fit into the look of that episode. And so he's walking around with the Enterprise crew as like an additional added character in the holodeck of the Enterprise, interacting with all of them and seeing how the Federation was formed and the first Enterprise going to, Earth and Jonathan Archer and everything else. And so it was an interesting task that they undertook, and ending the series in such a crappy way that was like a slap in the face of the Enterprise crew. Like, and even Jonathan Frakes like kind of admitted that he was like it was just kind of wrong how it went down, but.
Yeah, I never watched Enterprise. I watched like maybe 10 episodes of Voyager. I think I've gotten through, and this was years ago now, but I think I've gotten through almost all of DS9. And as a kid, I watched TNG faithfully. I'm a casual Star Trek fan at best. I'm not like you, where I'm like, I must know everything now about it. I have other fandoms for that.
there's still a lot for me to know in Trek, especially when I went to that Trek convention and I got kind of schooled by a bunch of people that were older than me and could tell me like exact episodes and speak Klingon. I was like, yeah, I'm not that big of a nerd, thanks. Like, there's a little bit normalcy to me still.
Yeah.
But like I give them kudos for knowing it. I mean, I don't know it, but yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not such a fan of this idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's already been greenlit for a second season, and there's not even been like a total premise of what the new show is going to be about. Like, there's nothing out there. It's just they're just announcing.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good at all. You don't announce something.
And now they're announcing that they're going to have another Star Trek series that focuses on Michelle Yeoh, who played Captain Philippa Georgiou on Discovery. And like the funny thing is they killed her character off at the beginning of season one of the show, like in episode 2. And then they went to the mirror universe, and then she's an emperor there. So, you know, they, of course, had to keep her after that because, you know, something to do. And so they brought her back to the Prime timeline, and so now she's running shenanigans. So they're talking about having the Emperor version running around in the Prime universe, running under Section 31. So, which is the Star Trek spy, you know, basically undercover, like, CIA operative type thing. Black Ops, and so I don't know. I think they're trying to like blow their load on all things Star Trek right now on CBS All Access, and I don't think that there's really a clear vision on what they're doing because they've announced so many different series at this point. They've announced a Khan series, a Picard series, now this Georgiou series, the animated series, Discovery Season 2. There's a Starfleet Academy, like CW-esque, you know, teeny bopper show that they're planning on doing. And so, like, you're looking at all these different spectrums of Trek. And most of them are limited runs, unless it's like the animated series or the Picard series or Discovery. But still, like, I feel like they're kind of... I think they're going to burn people out really quick.
Yeah, the only one I'm actually interested in, if I ever do check it out, is the Picard series. I have zero interest in any of the others.
I'm only interested in Discovery because I want to see what they do with Season 2 with having Captain Pike. In fleshing out people that were in the episode The Cage, like characters from that. That's the only reason I'm invested in Discovery at this point, is because I want to see what happens. If they did not pull me with that last episode with having the Enterprise show up and Captain Pike hailing the Discovery, I think I would have bailed. But because and I think they knew that they screwed something up somewhere along during season 1 and had to throw like a, you know, almost like what Star Wars is doing with having J.J. Abrams in like episode 9 of Star Wars. Because episode 8 had such backlash. I think they're trying to pull like a, But wait, we can fix this. We can make it right. And so like I think that this is like their Hail Mary, as it were, to make this work. And you know, they're like, we can make it connect to continuity, even though like nothing does in season 1 for the most part. And they did make it, you know, kind of grasp at it and then start to connect things towards the end. But I think that's because the backlash that came along with it to begin with. Because it was a bastardization of what had come at one point. I mean, I'm good with it now, other than the Klingon thing. I'm still waiting for that to work itself out. But yeah, I think I'm most heavily invested in the Picard series, and I have no... I won't be watching the animated series. I won't be watching the Starfleet Academy teeny bopper show. I won't be watching the Captain Georgiou show. I'll probably watch Khan just because I'm invested in the character previously, but I don't know how they're going to get somebody to fill the shoes of Ricardo Montalban. So I don't know how that's going to work, but Nicholas Meyer's writing it, who did Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6, which are two of the best Trek films. of the original series, and so I think that alone gives me reason to want to watch it, because he's got such a prolific background in Trek, and in making some of the best Trek that we've ever seen in film, and so I'll give him a pass on that. But other than that, like, I think Picard series is kind of going to be where it's at, especially with Patrick Stewart kind of calling the shots. Like, hey, I was this character for, since the 80s. Like, I know everything about him. You people don't. So talk to me. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, right now there's only several Trek things that I'm interested in, and none of them have to do with TV. Everything has to do with the comics. Star Trek Mirror Broken, which is the Mirror Universe. It's the trade, the 5-issue or 6-issue miniseries that IDW did. The 2 trades that are Star Trek versus Green Lantern, or Star Trek Green Lantern, and then obviously Star Trek Transformers, which pits TAS versus G1 Transformers. The rest of it right now, I have other things I'm paying attention to more than Star Trek at this point.
You want to hear something really funny?
What's that? I
didn't know, and this is not even Star Trek related, but because recently on Diablo having a new game coming out, and I was like, oh, I haven't played Diablo 3 in a while, so I downloaded it and tried it, and then so that reminded me that I used to play that, and spent money for it a long time ago, because it came out in 2012. And then I've of course been playing Star Trek Online. There was a news thing that came out like a week ago or by the time this comes out, a couple weeks ago, that said DC Universe has an Atlantis update that takes players under the sea. So basically, in the fact that we have, the Aquaman movie now. So they added this add-on to it, and I was like, I forgot I even had a DC Universe online account because it launched back in 2011, and I started playing it after it went free to play.
Right.
And then they get you with the microtransactions, which I'd never spent anything on, and the add-ons for everything. But yeah, I was like, I didn't know that the game was still around. I thought that it was pretty much dead. And so now I'm like, I might have to download this again and give it another shot. So, yeah, I mean, it's just funny, some of the things that get brought back.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. And the whole thing about announcing stuff before anything, like, especially with television, announcing 2 or 3 seasons of, let's say, Bosom Buddies 2019 or something. Not that Bosom Buddies is coming back, but like, don't announce 2 or 3 seasons of a show before the first one is already, out and has some sort of something. Like, who do you TV people think you are? Podcasters? I mean, yeah, I announce crap all the time, and sometimes it never happens. Kind of like the TFG2 podcast. That's been, teased since 2014.
Oh, years.
Yes.
So,
I haven't got to that.
Funko Pops. Take us to school.
Oh, boy. I think we almost ought to save that for next week, because that's going to be a long episode to take you to school.
Maybe you're right.
I'll say this as a teaser for next week. There's several different. Okay, Funko Pops are 3-4-inch vinyl figures. They're basically little big head, little. It's big head, little body kind of things. I don't want to say they're super deformed, but they're not general proportions of an action figure. There are like any fandom you can think of, there's a Funko Pop for. They have the regular figures, they have 6-inch figures, they have a few 10-inch figures. They have these things called Pop Rides. The one that I absolutely had to have, because you know me, I'm a die hard for anything Knight Rider. They came out with Knight Rider kit with Michael Knight. So it's basically the kit car with a Michael Knight inside of it. You can't take him out of the car. He's basically molded in there. But the detail on it is really cool because you see him holding the gull wing steering wheel kind of thing. And, the car is, just like it looked in the show. The only thing is the wheels don't move. It's a stationary thing. But they have the front scanner. They have the back license plate, which says California Night on it. So the detailing is very nice. The main reason why I got into Funko Pops is because I hadn't been collecting anything, any toys, any action figures, or anything like that since about 2011 when I had to sell my entire collection off at the time. And they're cool. I like them. The other thing I like about these things is the boxes. The boxes are just so cool to me. Like how they can fit like something like Gotham onto the box, because I have the Harvey Bullock Funko Pop as well from the Gotham TV series. I have a picture of him with the Batman Beyond Funko Pop. So it's Batman and Bullock. It's just not the right Batman. I don't know. It's just fun little things, and a lot of people say it's the Beanie Baby craze, but whatever. I don't know. So it's a whole other thing that we can talk about at a later date. I've been wanting to start a Funko podcast, but I don't know if I am yet or not. It's the end of the year and I'm tired. I need a vacation.
Yep. So yeah, and what spawned this was I made a kind of statement on Twitter saying I have to ask, and please no hate, but what is the appeal of Mighty Mugs Funko Pops that everybody's had the past few years? I can't for the life of me understand the appeal. I would much rather just have a toy that actually holds the correct proportions of said characters. And I say that just as, I would rather have something that's, and when I say screen accurate, I mean like it's actually the proportions of said character and has the same exact look. Like if they copied them from the screen and pasted them onto a seat, a 3D printer.
But that's what. Okay, this is the last thing I'll say. That's kind of what this is with Funko. Yes, they are not a fully proportioned action figure. Yes, the heads are bigger than the bodies. But the detailing on them is amazing. Like I'm looking at the Michael Knight part of the figure of the kit car here. He's got his leather jacket. They actually detailed in chest hair on him, like David Hasselhoff has the chest hair. They detailed in his little hair curly Q down on the front, and there is a lot of detail in them. If people don't mind, I'm going to slide over to my Funko shelf because, podcasting is ever-changing and whatever. I'm actually going to grab something you'll enjoy. Lord Zed Funko Pop from Power Rangers, okay? He has, the Zed staff in his hand that he's holding, it's molded in there. All of the detailing of the character that you see on Power Rangers and the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is there. All of his red and silver bits, his Z helmet kind of thing, and like it wraps the silver part of the helmet wraps around the entire head. On the top of his head it's made to look like actual brain matter kind of thing. So it's detailed in the point of, hey, this is his brain up here. This isn't just hair or his head, but this is his actual brain. It's got the silver with his teeth, and it's got the giant Z thing as part of his mask and whatever else. And on the back, it has all the detailing that you would see if you looked at Lord Zed from the back. The only difference is his head is slightly larger than his body. That's really the only difference. Everything else is detailed perfectly to the figure, to the character that you know as Lord Zed, and it is super cool.
Yep. So we're going to leave that as the teaser for the next episode.
Yes.
So, yeah. Thank you for joining me on Altered Geek to discuss a multitude of different topics, and thankfully we weren't both tired tonight.
Thankfully, my nose stopped, running off my face.
Thankfully, I used gratuitous use of mute. I coughed a lot during this episode, but nobody heard it.
This part has been edited. Ha ha ha. You'll never know what was actually here.
Exactly. So, until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.